Bati-Bati Book Club.
Señoras, caballeros, los que se encuentran en el medio. Bienvenidos a otro episodio a Bati-Bati Book Club. Soy tu anfitrión, el santo de encanto, Squill. And I, of course, am joined by my co-host, Walk. How are you doing, my friend?
My name is Walk, the Ayatollah of Walk and Rolla, and I'm here to talk to Tony Khan personally, because he brought back Nigel McGuinness, making our past episode relevant again. So I've decided to devise a list. First on the list, bring Low-Key in. AEW needs a little more drama.
Yeah.
2, give the Beast Mortos the ROH Pure title, because he deserves it.
Yep, yeah.
Get Sheamus into AEW.
Yeah.
Get Kevin Steen into AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Have Eddie Kingston and Willow Nightingale tag.
Yep.
Heal Eddie's leg.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a job, please. I will work as a
Okay.
janitor. I worked at a dog place, so yeah,
Basically.
I have experience. And give Squill a job. He would make a great accountant.
Oh no.
But aside from that, I'm doing pretty good, you know?
I'd be a good creative accountant.
You would be creative in that you would be accounting, brother.
Well, I would be laundering the money.
Yeah! Which is not our end goal at all, smiley face, Tony Khan. We know you're
Definitely
listening.
not. My other sponsor, of course, being the Yakuza. They're very, very good at that sort of thing.
Arigato gozaimasu.
But
Alright.
with our intro conspicuously being in Spanish, we may or may not be talking about a luchador today. So who is it?
I thought we were talking about MJF. Sorry. That's another episode. Stuka Jr.
Yes. So it's well established on this podcast that we have a certain enjoyment for square-shaped wrestlers.
Big fan.
And Stuka Jr., the human human torpedo, whose
Something
name,
like that.
as we found out, is literally named after a bomber plane from World War II.
Which is so awesome.
But also questionable because that was on the German side of World War II. So maybe he could have chosen like a different one.
From what I can tell, Stuka Jr. is not a fan
Nazi.
And not a Nazi, from what I can tell. I'm glad we could get a Nazi reference.
He could have been the B-52 Flying Fortress Jr., you know?
That rolls off the tongue.
Absolutely. I think you'd only known Stuka basically by my description of him before this episode, right?
I heard he was a square.
Yes.
And that's why I wanted him on the show.
Mm-hmm. So we could talk solely about square-based stuff.
Which is always good.
There are some matches I wanted to cover, but I straight up couldn't get access to them because accessing CMLL to watch either legally or not is regardless a nightmare. So
it's a hot mess.
I found 3 matches of his that I'd seen that are all fairly accessible through maybe dubiously legal Russian websites. Shout out VK.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube, but you can out yourself all you want, brother.
Yeah, you paid for the CMLL like YouTube subscription or something. That's how they disseminate their material.
YouTube subscription. That's how we do things.
Because they copyright struck down Lucha Blog's archive recently, which is what I was going to use for this, but so hashtag justice for Lucha Blog.
No, for real. One of the few YouTubers that is doing Lucha content in English, which is always nice.
Yeah. So, before we go forward, what was your experience with CMLL in general before this?
Okay, so I think like my first big exposure was watching a Joseph Montesilio end of year recap.
Mm-hmm.
I knew CMLL existed. I
Yes.
knew it was the big lucha promotion in Mexico. But aside from
hmm
that, I don't know shit.
And has it reinforced what you thought it was going to be?
Um, mm, I heard that it was very formulaic, which it very much is,
Yeah.
but not in a bad way. I kind of like it. It's kind of mixing formulas is very fun in CMLL.
hmm
Really makes imagining dream matchups a lot easier.
Well, it's also sort of like how the modern like Bryan Danielson TV match is formulaic, right? He
Yeah.
stands and trades strikes. He does a little bit of grappling. He does his dragon comeback.
hmm
He hits a flying knee probably for the finish. But that doesn't mean they aren't fucking awesome.
They're always sweet, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with formula
Because the formula makes when it breaks that much more special.
for sure.
So the first match we picked out for today is versus Atlantis Jr. at the CMLL 89 anniversary. And this is a mask versus mask match. But
Indeed,
conspicuously, it is not 2 out of 3 falls as most Apuestas matches are.
which is really good for rewatches, which makes it shorter.
Yes. Um, Atlantis Jr., what do you want to say about him before we get into the match?
So my first exposure probably to Atlantis Jr. was this. There's this meme on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
of "You got Atlantis Jr. Try again later."
Mm-hmm.
I think the footage used in that meme is played at the Stuka match, which is
Yes.
pretty funny. Um, Aside from that, I know he was a. I think he still is a champ at ROH.
Fact checking.
I think
Yes.
so. What is he?
ROH World Television Champion.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Because he beat Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
okay.
I think maybe was the payment between for allowing Blue Panther to job the Danielson. They
Yeah.
had to sacrifice Kyle Fletcher in
Yeah,
Mexico.
it's only fair. Yeah. And aside from that, I know Atlantis Jr. is a luchador, and yeah, that's all I
His
kind of
dad
knew.
fucking rules.
His dad is. We're gonna talk about him at ringside. He's crazy looking.
Yes. So this, like I said, it's the 89th anniversary. Is a very big match, big fight feel. As
Big fight feel.
this is the main event as well.
Yes.
Because it cannot be overstated how big mask versus mask matches are, especially in CMLL, the oldest lucha company.
There's a great deal of respect given to like everybody that is doing an Apuesta.
And as both of them, they have Stuka Senior and Atlantis Senior ringside. And so this fight is not just for their mask, but also for like the legacy of
Yes.
each man and their names.
Yep. So let's start off with the match. Before
Mm-hmm.
we begin, we see the board ring girls dancing to Stuka Jr.'s music. And when Stuka has his mask, he has the craziest ring gear.
Oh
He has
yeah.
like these like Velcro like like ring I don't know how to describe it honestly. It's got a cape on it is all I
Yes.
can tell. It's crazy looking and Stuka waddles on out. There's a different energy when Stuka has his mask versus when he doesn't have his mask.
Less unhinged.
Less unhinged. He seems like a normal dude with his mask on. Uh, but the board ring girls are doing their dance. There's a little bit of a panning around
Mm-hmm.
Arena Mexico, which is a beautiful ring.
Oh, it's
Absolutely
amazing.
gorgeous.
I love how long like the walk is to actually get out because
hmm
you get a sense for like the physical space of the arena,
It's
and it
great.
feels it's like basically a pit as well because they have to
Yes.
go down those stairs.
hmm It's so sick. So Stuka makes his way to the ring, and then Atlantis Jr.'s music hits. All the ring girls are doing. That's the thing. They look bored, but they're pretty in sync.
Yeah.
And they have, while we call them bored, they are doing a smile.
Yeah. It's just like they're doing everything with like 60% of the enthusiasm you would expect.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Atlantis
Mhm.
Jr. comes out. He's wearing his sweet fit. He looks great.
And
He
I
sizes up Stuka Jr. and Senior, who are in the ring, and does a
Mhm.
flying crossbody off the top,
It
and it's
rules.
sick. So a part of the Stuka formula is that Stuka will attempt to jump you at the start of every match. And it's
Mhm.
interesting how each wrestler kind of reacts to it.
Yes.
Uh, for the most part, tonight we're going to mention that the person is going to counter Stuka, except for one example.
Mhm.
Uh, but
Which is
uh,
kind of funny that Stuka, it's not a sneak attack if everybody knows it's coming, which just makes
it's
it hilarious that like
it's
they know
so
he's gonna do it. He
it's
gets no
so
advantage.
it's so obvious. He does it every time. He waddles towards the ropes even before they're in.
Mhm.
And then he just grabs their head and starts beating their ass, but not this time. He gets hit with a crossbody.
Also, for
Uh,
some reason, Stuka looks like he can't walk when he's walking out, and then he's immediately super agile.
he's very agile. We'll get to that, but he is a very agile gentleman for what he looks like.
Because if it'd be like if Tomohiro Ishii with that body all of a sudden did like a moonsault, you would not. It wouldn't make sense.
For sure. He also is just like spamming these moonsaults later on.
He is a fucking beautiful moonsault.
He absolutely does. But Squill, I
Mhm.
heard you need a car battery.
A car battery.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the branding on the ring, which is
Yeah.
glorious.
Yeah, you're gonna need some of that and some car oil.
Mhm.
Hell yeah. I love CMLL. I like their branding a lot more than WWE's, or they're just spamming Prime.
I think we've seen that, lucha companies just have the most on brand for Mexico, like, advertisements from
Mhm.
the literal, Modelo, chairs and
Chairs.
the yeah. It's like, ah, Mexico seems to be a culture that lives up to its stereotypes in kind of a charming way.
It's very honest.
Yeah, it is very honest, and that's
It's
something beautiful about lucha libre, I think.
it's very charming. I'm very charmed by Lucha. After the sweet car battery ad, then a roll up happens. I think that's what
Mhm.
we call that in the biz.
Yep.
They just like roll over to the ropes, and then Stuka gets launched out, and then
Ye
Atlantis runs the ropes, and then hits a beautiful swanton bomb off the top rope.
I will say I love the concept of it really seems like, he's channeling his dad here, uh, because his dad is like I mean, just one of the greatest technicos of all time, right?
Sure.
And Atlantis is, like, 26, which, like, in lucha years is, like, 5. Um,
For
and
sure.
so, he really has to because we're talking about legacy here, this he has to live up to his dad's example here, and so going right off the bat and fighting, it's very reminiscent of what I've seen from Atlantis Senior.
Mhm. He is a he's a forward fighting man.
Mhm.
After the sweet swanton bomb, uh, Stuka gets back up and he grips up Atlantis and goes for an Irish whip, which gets countered, but he counters it back and throws Atlantis into the guardrail. And Atlantis does a great guardrail bump.
Yeah, so
Uh,
in every Stuka Jr. is not necessarily a head drop wrestler.
mhm.
However, in every Stuka Jr. match, there is a bump that makes you go, "What? That was
It's
fucked up."
it's
Yes,
nasty.
it's not just how he hits it, it's the way he bounces.
Yes, and he bounces off, and he waddles into the crowd a little bit, and does some mean chops into the crowd.
I'll say, you do forget the best part though of when he flies into the crowd. The guy who he lands on does not spill
Oh,
his
we're not
beer.
there yet.
Oh, sorry, my bad. That's a different time he
Be
gets murdered.
quiet. We're not ready yet, buddy.
Yeah.
I was referring to when he hits the guardrail and does like how Atlantis does it is that he like I don't know how to describe it. He does kind of a Ric Flair bump into the
Yes.
crowd, like the stairway.
But manages to make it look so much more painful.
Yes, and it looks rough. Stuka drags him up the stairs a little bit and starts punching him in the head, doing some mean chops. And then Stuka drags him back ringside. And Atlantis Senior, we get a camera shot of Atlantis Senior, and he looks great. Holy shit!
Yeah,
He is
both of the
buff.
both the Lucha dads in this look like conspicuously in good condition given their age.
I don't know what's up with. There's something in the water in Mexico that allows them to be this powerful. I guess is
Mm-hmm.
how I'll put it.
Yeah, unaging.
Unaging. They found the fountain of youth.
Yeah, it wasn't in Florida, because why would it be?
Yeah, nice try, conquistadors.
Take that, Ponce de Leon.
Bitch. Anyhow, Stuka hits a beautiful top rope moonsault. Won't be the last one he does.
Absolutely not.
He starts going crazy later on. But this one is particularly beautiful. Atlantis gets up and starts doing cartoon dizzy selling
Oh,
after
it's
the
fun.
moonsault. It's
It's
so
fun.
fun. Then when Atlantis tries to get back into the ring, Stuka throws him into the corner and goes for a superplex, which is not noted very much by the announcers
Yeah.
or the. They are just like superplex, and then they move on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's funny.
CMLL announcers are very fun. I can understand approximately 60% of what they're saying.
And there's like 5 guys.
But yeah, from what I catch, it's generally pretty fun.
They're having a great time, but I managed to make out the voice of God,
Mm-hmm.
mid range Goblin Man.
Yeah.
I think there's a 4th guy somewhere in there. There's like
Mm-hmm.
5 dudes doing commentary.
It very much is like some guys on a couch, and you're just kind of enjoying it.
And they're having a great time. I like like the commentary team and generally like radio personalities in
Mm-hmm.
like Spanish speaking radio personalities because they have a great voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of reminds me of like the transatlantic accent, but sped
Yeah.
up and in Spanish.
Yeah.
It's
It
so fun
That broadcast voice is definitely something universal across languages.
for sure.
I mean,
Uh,
I do that voice when I read the intro. Like
you
that's
do
kind of
indeed.
yeah, it's trying to put it concisely and like clearly.
Mm-hmm. And then they stand up again, but Stuka hits a crazy combination of a spin kick to a spinning neck breaker, excuse me. Then
Mhm.
into a rope assisted crossroads, absolutely glorious. I think there's
Yes.
a name for the rope assisted crossroads, but eh, it looks better than Cody's crossroad
Yeah, I was gonna say add that to the list of many people who hits the
across.
crossroads, yeah, better than him,
I
which is
swear we aren't a
Dustin
Cody hate
Rhodes,
cast, but
Stuka Jr., MJF.
yeah, they all do it better, and I'll thank them later.
Choose
Um,
another finisher, Cody, please.
dude, you just go with the vertebreaker, or excuse me,
Mhm.
the cop killer, as the Lord intended.
Or just do a pedigree.
Pedigrees are cool.
Yeah.
It's like a safe pile driver.
Mhm.
But that only leads to a 2. Stuka goes for yet another crossroads, not rope assisted, and still looks better than Cody's.
We love you, please.
For the love of God, you beautiful bastard. I hope you become a bastard again. Stuka goes for a clothesline, sending Atlantis ringside, and then Stuka tries another moonsault, but Atlantis manages to counter with the knees.
Mm-hmm. It looks awesome.
It looks great, and Stuka looks like he gets absolutely murdered. He starts getting even more murdered as Stuka Sr. starts whipping the towel into the top of Stuka Jr.'s head, trying to heal him.
Something I said about Lucha while we were watching this is just an interesting quirk of it is that it has some of the most cartoonish like superhero offense, but then they sell it in incredibly like realistic ways. So it's a
For
really
sure.
interesting dichotomy. So Stuka here, when he eats those knees to the fucking chest or back, is like crumpling and looks like he's died.
It's good
and
shit.
It looks great.
Such good shit. I'll get into this later, but rewatching all of these matches, I think I might be a Lucha guy now.
Congratulations.
I'm really liking Lucha. Anyways, a side note from the action. I like the CMLL guy's little mask. Not the mask itself, but the mask that's on his
mouth. The mask.
Because he's got a little surgical
COVID,
mask.
yeah,
He's got a little COVID mask. It's pretty fun. I like that. And then looks like Stuka gets back into the ring, and then Atlantis does his ramp charge crossbody, which is
one of the most fun things he does.
It's so cool, and that leads to only a 2. And then Atlantis does what I can only describe as a T-pose on Stuka to a monkey flip.
That's accurate.
And then he does another T-pose onto Stuka when he gets back up. And then he does a rope momentum Canadian destroyer. Holy shit, it's so sweet.
Just inventing words you didn't think that
it's
anyone would utter.
So
out of like Dave
cool.
Meltzer's wet dream.
It's so cool. It's so sick. And then after that leads to a 2 somehow. Stuka slams Atlantis onto the ramp to set up for a Stuka bomb drop, which is what I'm going to call that. Which then leads to Stuka arguing with the ref. Excuse me. Let me back up a little bit. He slams him onto the ramp, and then he pushes him into the ring. 2 count. Stuka gets angry at the ref. I might as well just note this now. CMLL refs look crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They are jacked.
Yeah.
They are just hosses.
It reminds me, if you remember old school New Japan when we were watching Saito versus Inoki, where the ref is like nearly as big as Masa Saito.
It looks like every time during a CMLL match, it looks like they have Ken Shamrock if he ate a little more.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then then Stuka argues with that ref, and then he goes in for a roll-up. He does that a lot. It never ends well for him. He gets rolled up for a 2. Then Atlantis hits a super kick, which knocks out Stuka for a little bit. Then Atlantis goes for a frog splash, but gets countered with the knees. And then after Atlantis gets hit with the knees up, there is a attempted baseball slide by Stuka once he rolls off to the side. But he gets thrown into ringside. And then the spot we were talking about earlier happens.
Where this man, majestically, as he sails through the air towards him, like sort of nudges out of the way. He still lands on his lap, but he manages to like move his beer to make sure it isn't spilled. And there's a sense that this man is a veteran in the of luchadors landing on him.
He is an experienced front row seater, and good for him, man. Because Atlantis is going full tilt.
Yeah.
It's almost like a professional. I
I imagine you assume the risk of that happening if you're in the front row at Arena Mexico.
Yeah, especially how close the seating is, because you could
And just
basically like kiss the luchador.
and just like thank God it was him and not one of the big fuck off like brick shit house luchadors.
Mm-hmm. Because that would have just killed him.
Yeah.
Then after recovering from that, Stuka hits a brainbuster.
It looks beautiful.
He has a great brainbuster. And then
Hashtag more brainbusters.
brainbusters are good. Brainbusters are so cool. They're
As a side note, Josh Barnett does what do you call it? A fisherman brainbuster, and it looks
holy
gorgeous.
shit.
And I want more people to use the fisherman brainbuster, please.
I mean, Fisherman anything is pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Because it was an Akira Maeda thing, so that's why Josh does it because he's a nerd.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. Nerd. Anyways, brainbuster, and then the Stuka bomb happens,
Mm-hmm.
leading to a 2, and then Stuka goes for another brainbuster and is going for it again. But Atlantis manages to recover in time and gets rolled up, and then rolls up Stuka. Then another 2.
Mm-hmm.
Atlantis submission gets countered. I think gets into a gutbuster.
Yes.
For a 2.
That submission, by the
then-
way, is one he takes from his dad. I believe it's the Atlantida.
Atlantida. Okay.
Argentine backbreaker thing.
Argentine backbreaker.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Something they made up in like the 60s, just, try to explain what the hell that was.
Works for me. It's sick as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It gets countered for a 2, and then the Atlantida gets locked in again, and Atlantis wins!
Woo!
But Stuka has to get rid of his mask.
Yeah,
Whoa.
this is genuinely heartfelt where it seems like Stuka Senior is consoling him, like telling him it's okay, and it's actually like genuinely heartwarming.
That's what can best be said about Sumo LL is that there's always a great amount of respect.
Mm-hmm.
It's a heartwarming program.
Weirdly enough, even by the Rudos, it's that trope when like the villains are mean to the hero but really nice and wholesome to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Where like Stuka has just lost his mask, like his family legacy he's let down. But Stuka Senior doesn't seem angry with him. He's hugging him and it seems to be telling him it's okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what happens when your dad is like one of the most famous like lucha baby faces.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets demasked, and Stuka Jr. looks like a grandma a little bit, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
Once he gets a better haircut, he actually does look quite good.
For sure. And that was Atlantis Jr. versus Stuka Jr. Excellent match. Great
4.5 stars from Dave Meltzer.
I have to agree.
I don't know if I'd go that high, but it was fucking sick.
I liked it. I don't do star ratings. I do cool art or shit. And that
you do
art.
what did you create as your seal of approval?
Golden Dragon.
Yeah, the Golden Dragon.
Is it a Golden Dragon? Because Golden Dragon requires it to have a certain amount of like
CTE,
glass, blood. It's an award that comes with a free shot of heroin.
Mm-hmm. Just wait till we eventually do a Sammy Callahan episode.
Ooh yeah, that is going to be full of golden dragons, but we're not there yet. But it was very good. It was art. It gets an art from me.
Art.
Definitely watch this one.
All right, our next match is versus Hechicero. The goth wizard technician of CMLL.
What a guy.
As I made you aware, his name literally means sorcerer. His signature moves include the Mad Scientist Bomb and El Conjuro. So like he's a weird guy.
He's a silly guy. I like him.
And I mean that in, like as a highest compliment
Of
because
course.
just when you first see him, like when he wrestled Danielson on Dynamite, he comes off as a very like sort of straight-laced technical submission guy, like the ZSJ of Lucha.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's
which,
definitely how they presented him.
but also he's a wizard.
Oh, because why not?
Yeah, his entrance gear is crazy.
Let's talk about a little bit of the background for this.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is for the Blue Demon Cup, the less prestigious cousin to the Super Nintendo Super Tournament.
The Torneo La Leyenda Azul. The tourney of the Blue Legend, which is a
Yes.
tournament that I think they get a title shot, but it really doesn't mean anything. Which I think is cruel to Blue Demon. Blue Demon was a veteran of fighting Frankensteins and vampires and all sorts of,
He fought mummies.
copyright-free Universal monster ripoffs. And
Damn it.
all he gets is this.
Damn it. He stopped mad scientists every single movie.
He
Along with El
bravely
Santo.
stood beside El Santo as they battled, the armies of the undead, like a Mexican Evil Dead movie, and he deserves more.
Except for when he gets brainwashed by little people.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Aside from that, he stands by El Santo. He was only brainwashed. He's like the Moog of Lucha. of Lucha.
Can we also talk about Lucha names, by the way? That, like, one of the biggest, like, he's sort of the 1B guy to Santos 1A, but his name is Blue Demon, and he's a good guy.
The most evil man, the most evil bro name ever, and he's nice dude.
I just love how Lucha names like work.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny.
It's a tweet I made a long time ago, but I love Lucha Libre because there will be a match that's bloody, brutal, and the culmination of some incredibly heated feud, but then the two participants are named like El Hijo de Heladero, which means the son of the ice cream man, and Loco Wombat.
That's a good ass trait.
It's true,
you're
though.
Good at Twitter.
Thank you.
Holy shit, that's a good one. I like that.
But that is very much the state of Lucha Libre.
This is true, and it is really funny. I'm so charmed.
But oh no, is our intrepid wizard going to get jumped by
No!
Yeah.
Never! No!
Is he gonna get jumped by Stuka? Yeah.
He gets grabbed on the scalp, mask style.
And this is maskless Stuka now.
Yes, this is Stuka Gremlin mode.
Mm-hmm. He does get more rabid, like you said, once he's been demasked.
Yeah, he's always very intense on the mask. Like during the Atlantis match. He is like constantly biting he does a little bit of biting, I think. Not really. Now I think about it. He's like ripping at it. But during this match, he for sure is biting off the top of the mask, not even like trying to show his face.
Yeah.
It's
just
so
trying to take it off and dishonor him and his lineage.
Mm-hmm. And I also, this doesn't have to do anything with old Stuka's style of mask rippery, but nice titty straps, Hedgie.
Yes, Hechicero, there was a meme going around when he made his AEW debut. I will put in chat. But yes, the titty straps are an integral part of his power, I think.
It's right up there with Alexander Otska. His craziest fits. And Hechicero is dressed in blue. Stuka didn't give a fuck and just wore his usual ring gear.
Yep.
And then he does his usual bully routine, kicking, scream. That's a good fit.
Yeah. Is that not Hechicero?
No, that is definitely Hechicero. For all of the
I'll put
audio.
it. I'll edit it in
Okay,
to the
sounds
YouTube
good.
thing. But for people listening on Spotify, tell them about it.
Okay, so remember in SpongeBob when I don't remember much about the episode itself, but it's the big buff fish with the straps. The purple. I'm very bad at describing SpongeBob.
Yes,
It's
it's a
been a
giant
while.
jacked fish man with the titty straps.
It's pretty sick. Yeah, good shit. Stuka does his bully routine to the outside, but it would be his usual bully routine if oh fuck, did he just catapult him into the ring guard?
Yep.
Jesus Christ! He wants to kill this man for the Blue Demon Cup so he can get a title shot.
I also do enjoy how it throws off the Hechicero formula, where normally there's like a feeling out process. And by the way, he has this year had a rivalry with ZSJ. I don't know if you've seen any of their matches.
I have not.
Uh, they've been wrestling each other for a few years now.
Sweet.
You can see where like ZSJ doesn't do lucha grappling, but there's like an absurdism to some of his holds that very much is in line with lucha grappling. So you can
For
see
sure.
where that rivalry would happen. But normally Hechicero is going to start a little bit more deliberate than this.
Mm-hmm. And he gets countered hardcore. To the point where he gets catapult launched. And then Stuka means business by putting his hair up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also note that Hechicero has a great corset. Really tying
Beautiful.
his look together.
Yeah, his entrance gear is questionable.
It's bold. Stuka hits the Stuka taunt, which is going to be a constant from now on. Now that he has taken off the mask, he can unleash his Stuka taunt.
It's very fun. Would you like to describe it for the viewers?
Raising the roof, but kind of
Yeah.
doing a crab hand as well. It's a crab hand, raise the roof. He does the Stuka taunt in this context while
Mm-hmm.
Hechi is dying in the corner.
Yes.
He does a quick face swipe whilst Hechicero is in the corner in the Tree of Woe, I should say. Then Goblin Snuka tries to go for a delicious bite of the mask. And then I really want Hechicero to fight back. At this point, he's just getting his ass whooped for
Oh
the
yeah,
entire
absolutely.
beginning. Then there's a random camera. There's a random cam of being in the crowd, and Anubis is right next to me, I guess.
Woo!
Thanks, Anubis. Thanks.
Can I interject one random note for the viewers?
Yeah.
While looking at Hechicero's cage match page, his trainer was a man named Cachorro Zapata, which roughly translated by me with 3 years of Spanish means puppy shoes. So my
Classic
prophecy,
luchador puppy
yeah,
shoes.
because Zapata can either be the feminine version of zapatos, which is shoes, or it could be there was a Mexican revolutionary named Zapata. So either
Something
he's
tells me.
puppy revolutionary, which would be like, Che Guevara doggo, or he is puppy shoes.
Am I a
So
bad
shout out to
person?
that guy.
Am I a bad person for when you mentioned that? I imagined Che Guevara with like a puppy mask. Like,
Possibly.
okay. And
We'll go to
then
UN court.
and then yeah, Hechicero is back up, baby. And
He's not dead.
he's not dead. He's whooping the fuck out of Stuka. He's kicking. He's like hitting him with elbows, crazy style. He's going yes, yes, yes with his
Mm-hmm.
elbows. And then he does a giant swing backbreaker. Now that's what I call innovation. It's really good.
He really likes to target the back.
Most of his submissions are well. Isn't his big submission a back one?
Yeah, he's always trying to stretch guys.
Mm-hmm. And then he gets hit with some offense by Stuka, and he does kind of this like rebound slide into the center.
Yeah.
Very casual style. And
Very
then
casual.
very casual. And then for completely out of the blue, not lucha submission, Hechicero just starts doing a Suzuki style, not like a Suzuki armbar, but like doing it near the ropes and trying to do a sleeper.
Yeah.
Very out of character, but if it works, I guess. And then Hechi walks over to the top rope and hits the wizard taunt, which is imagine Scott Hall spooky fingers, but with your whole arm.
Yep, pretty much.
And then he does a bulldog,
which looks quite good.
He is a good bulldog.
There are an upwards of maybe 3 people in the world with a good bulldog.
And he is one of them, along with Dustin Rhodes.
Mox has a good one, too.
He does have a good one, you're right.
That's it.
Yeah. Does British Bulldog have a good bulldog?
The jury is out on that one.
Alright. And then a big old chop on Stuka, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hechicero does the Ric Flair corner spot. And it looks great. Does a good job.
It's always great when someone can pull that off without looking like an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Looking at you, Shawn Michaels. And then a insane tope push style from Hechicero. Into the guardrail for Stuka. And then whilst
the guardrail is one of the best workers in CMLL.
It is. He does a good job.
That thing gets time.
He gets a rough time whenever Roosh comes over.
Well, thank God CMLL hasn't had Roosh for like a decade.
Very nice. Good for them. That poor guardrail. And then Hechicero starts doing some sweet headbutts. Absolutely a little brutal. I mean, it's a headbutt. It's going to be a little gross.
I do like it. It's at this point Hechicero starts to lose his composure. Because he's sort of been trying to scientifically pick apart Stuka, but Stuka is just such an annoying bastard to deal with that he starts to lose it.
Yeah. He just has to go goblin mode as well.
Because Hechicero's MO is very much like contest of skill. We shall compete, you and I, to see who is the greater sportsman. But he's like, nope, never mind. You're gonna die.
You're a bitch. You jumped me. I couldn't even take off all my wizard staff, my sweet mask for my mask. You're gonna die, buddy. Stuka tries to go for a lariat, but it does nothing. Gets no-sold and gets dropped to the mat. In which is his wizardly domain. Hechicero begins doing his wizardly techniques and ends up getting Stuka into a sit-out powerbomb position.
I love sit-out anything.
It looks cool. It looks sweet. And then, sorry, one moment.
All good.
And then there is a kick out from Then Stuka kicks out, but Hechicero manages to get it into a cross pin. Very beautiful. Hechicero gets it in very well. And then he hits something I have christened a banana split monkey flip upward style into a butt drop.
Yep, that's about it.
And then they gator roll around for a two count. And then Stuka Jr. has had enough of this grappling bullshit and gets him up and hits him with the meanest brainbuster he's ever hit.
This is once again the part in a Stuka Jr. match in which there's a bump that happens where you're like, what?
Holy shit.
Because CMLL is not there are guys like Stuka who do it, but altogether it's not a super like brutal promotion.
No,
It's like a lot. It's that's why it's sort of jarring in a good way when those kind of bumps happen, like the aforementioned Atlantis Junior when he gets yeeted into the guardrail.
almost knocking out a poor drink. Almost. Thankfully, we have professionals. Stuka taunt leading into a charge, but he gets caught and thrown into the corner, which leads to a beautiful, and this isn't my call, this is commentary, a Frankensteiner.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Just like Blue Demon used to fight.
Using Frankensteiners.
No, he fought Frankensteins
Oh, yeah.
and
Caught
vampire
that.
ladies.
And vampire ladies, you can't forget about the werewolf ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Or the robot.
At what point do those movies just become like guys slap fighting with people in slutty Halloween costumes?
Uh, you're asking the real question, Squill.
Mm-hmm.
You are. Then the second gross bump of the night.
Mm-hmm.
A brutal shining wizard knee lift.
Yeah,
Holy fuck! In the
noise
corner,
the noise it makes is disgusting.
Hechicero just kills this dude. He just bam, and it's
It's once
gross.
again jarring in a good way because you just don't ever see that coming.
And then he hits a wizard taunt into getting the legs kicked. Yeah, just brutal. But after hitting that, Hechicero hits a wizard taunt. But as we have seen from this match, taunting leads to nothing good. As Stuka Jr. kicks out the legs from underneath him. Absolutely, just he kicks the shit out of Dog in that encounter. And then a rope-assisted crossroads happens, but Hechicero manages to get a rope break. And then they both get stood up, and they do a brutal lucha chop battle. My definition of a lucha chop is kind of a up and down kind of how Pentagon does a chop. Is my
Yeah,
definition.
it's sort of abrupt.
It's cool though. It looks like it hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's just like the Japanese or like American indie style is normally just like sort of horizontally you just like wind it up and throw it so it makes like a cool noise
Mm-hmm.
and the crowd
But
could go woo.
woo! But he does like a whip cracking motion.
Oh yeah, no, it's fucked up.
Ugh. And then after the chop battle happens, Hechicero locks in an arm breaker. Locks it in for a good bit, almost making me think that he's gonna tap out to it. But Stuka's genius way of breaking out of an arm breaker is that he wants to just take his mask.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason he manages to break out. And then there is a double ankle lock, which as the resident grappling guy, is that more effective?
A double ankle lock? No.
Is that what it is? Where he's on the ground?
That's about the best way to describe it.
Okay. But it's double the pain.
Yeah, that's how pro wrestling is, you know.
Come on, man. Come on now. I'm gonna try.
It's like the logic of the octopus hold, right?
Right? Yeah.
You're working the arm and the neck and the leg, like you know,
And the abs.
Yeah,
Come on.
and the abs.
The famous tapping spot, the abs.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. I'm gonna try that on my first BJJ lesson.
Yeah, it's about, you know, grappling is a bit when you're trying to do a limb submission, you're trying to put the most amount of force on like a small isolated area. So yeah, maybe.
But what if I do it everywhere?
Yeah, then you just win.
Yeah, obviously. Works for me. And then after the double ankle lock, thing to note. Stuka does a I don't know how to describe it. He clasps his hands together onto the rope. It's a hardcore rope break.
Yeah, he fucking grabs that shit.
He hoists himself onto that. And then Hechicero starts arguing with the ref. But this leads to nothing good as, by God, Hechicero just got unmasked. Very clean move, I might add.
I love how luchadors act to being unmasked.
It's like they got their face ripped off.
Yeah, it's like tornado drill position. Motherfucker has to, hide his face.
Mm-hmm. And to their credit, it's very well done.
Mm-hmm.
It's good shit. Does a great job. And then I put it as Hechicero casts a spell and taps out Stuka.
Yes, he does.
It's beautiful work. Great job. I think a lot of people might have gotten nervous if they watched our Black Terry episode, finding out that we're watching a Hechicero match, that I might have opinions on lucha grappling again. But as it turns out, lucha grappling is good. It's just not good, in my opinion, when it's done by two old gentlemen.
What about Blue Panther?
I haven't watched much Blue Panther. He'll be on the show eventually.
Okay, well, if you don't like him, this show has to end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to that road when we cross it. But before we move on to our next match, the devil was hiding this whole time as we see the mask of... What's the little monkey guy's name?
Humanito.
We see a dude wearing a Humanito mask. He's gonna kill someone.
Yep. I just have an irrational fear of, mascots. There's just something, uncanny valley about them, Because
No, that's fair.
there's some, it's like why people, why Five Nights at Freddy's is effective or whatever, where it's
Yeah.
I mean, less so with the animatronics, but it's there's a person inside the suit.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, that demon monkey is particularly scary to me. Because he looks sort of unhinged.
That's why our heroes over at MXM, specifically Mansoor, started beating the fuck out of Dog. Our hero.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Well, have you seen what the original version of Grimace looks like?
No.
He had 4 arms and was evil.
What?
Here, I'm looking it up for you. But Humanito gives the same vibes.
Oh no. Jesus.
Yeah, they had to take him away and cut the 2 arms off so he became less evil.
This is a good episode for audio listeners.
Yeah, look up Evil Grimace.
Do you want me to? Holy
no. I'm saying that to the audio.
Oh, why does he have a carpet texture to him?
It was the 70s. Everything was shag carpet.
Is he shag carpet? Well, no, because he doesn't become a shag. Well, maybe that's his evil skin.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? He became less evil once they took the arms off.
This is true. He's not.
And why has there not been a luchador that is Grimace, by the way?
Oh, that'd be sweet. That'd be awesome. He can hit a Canadian destroyer while also being that shape. Body positivity, man.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because there's probably a luchador somewhere now shaped like that who is hitting a Canadian destroyer.
Hell yeah. And I hope to see it. Well, yeah, technically yes, because we saw Stuka Jr. not hitting the Canadian. Well, doesn't he hit a Canadian destroyer? Before we get too far into that, what's our next match, Squill?
You know him. You love him. It's Stupid Sexy Soberano Jr.
Oh. Bottom text.
Oh, are you having a moment there?
No. We're all friends here.
This is a bisexual podcast.
This is for the bi populace.
Uh-huh.
We go. Anyways.
What did you know about Soberano before this?
Okay, so going back to Joseph Montesilio's recap of last year, I knew that he had a heel turn at some point last year.
Yes.
and he became a cocky rich kid. And I thought he was cool. From what I've seen, I knew he had abs on his back.
That is accurate.
He has abs everywhere.
He is
We went
all
from
abs.
we are body positive of all shapes, but Jesus Christ, man, that
Yeah.
is so many abs.
He's like a walking advertisement for EPO.
What?
EPO. It's not an anabolic steroid, but it makes your metabolism go crazy.
Sure, I can see it.
Performance enhancing drug that makes your red blood cell count go crazy, and so it's like for like lean athletes, like famously
Sure.
the bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw busted for it.
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you mean.
Basically makes your cardio and your ability to keep lean muscle mass easier.
Sure.
But yes,
Well,
that is what he looks like.
he is ridiculous looking. But before we get into that, we need to talk about Stuka for the third time in his entrance.
Mhm.
So
This is the best one.
he's had 3 different songs
Yeah,
throughout each of these matches. This is his best one.
yeah.
It hits, and everybody is doing the ladies are doing the sweet dance, and it's a
Woo.
crazy goblin expression. And he waddles out to the ring.
And he has a good haircut now.
He does have a good haircut now, and he still looks like a grandma, but still again in a good way, and he has a good haircut.
His barber is coming clutch.
Absolutely. And then Soberano's entrance happens, and his entrance is fascinating. So the way that it starts off is that it just shows a picture of him. He's hitting a sitcom stance, crossing his arms, smiling. And then they start cutting between camera angles, and then the lights start going crazy, just epilepsy warning style.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy. It's and then Soberano comes out, and everybody's hyped. And how
He has a cape.
Soberano, he does have a cape. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Soberano, the way that he counters the classic Stuka waddle to punch combo is he dodges out of the way, and he does a quick ring pose. Hang on, I wrote this funny.
The
He
camera
does.
work here is so good, by the way.
It is. CMLL has great production.
I also love how the ring announcer, whenever someone gets jumped, just keeps on going like normal.
Mm-hmm. He's putting in the work. He does the ring pose, and then he climbs into the corner and hits a head scissors, throwing out Stuka. And then he crossbody Stuka off the top rope while he's on ringside. And it is brutal. It is absolutely crazy.
I've included in
yeah.
chat EPO.
This is, again, a great episode for... Yeah, so TJ Dillashaw used to look ripped, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he's still ripped, but
Not...
in a difference between like 2% body fat and like 0.1 repeating body fat sort of thing.
Baki body fat.
And that's what Soberano looks like.
Absolutely. He takes off the cape and reveals said abs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get back into the ring. He tries to fuck up the Squarial assassin, but is kicked in the gut, leading to a Stuka taunt. And then a lucha chop to the corner onto Soberano, leading him to do a beautiful crumble cell. And then Stuka taunt, this time doing a founding father stance, where he puts his. You
Yeah.
know what I mean.
I know what you're talking about. By the way, this is a 2 out of 3 falls match. I want to note that for the viewers.
Yes. Okay. And then Soberano ends up on the other side through style and grace, and then hits an excellent enziguri, then hitting a matador stance to the crowd. He's not
Mhm.
ringside, but I forget the name of like the ring post, the thing in between, like
Apron?
on apron. Thank you. He
Yes.
hits a matador stance on the
The
apron.
hardest part of the ring.
The hardest part of the ring. I'd die.
Yeah.
Then there is a beautiful tornado twist for the first 3 count.
Yes.
Legendary. It is gorgeous.
Everything
Um,
Soberano does is incredibly like smooth and he's just kind of perfect and mechanically speaking.
the way to put it is that he's got Riz.
Mm-hmm.
He moves with Riz. And then the ringside girl comes out. She is looking bored as she pulls up the second fall sign. And then Soberano is absolutely schmoovin'. He's ducking and rolling and hops and then does a couple taunts. That is until Soberano tastes the guardrail, attempting to do a top rope dive to the ringside. How is he not dead?
Magic?
Same thing that kept Hechicero alive after the catapult, I would assume.
Yeah, well, vampires are canonically, real in CMLL, so
Oh, okay,
as
that
well as
makes
wizards.
sense. Yeah, true. And then after Soberano almost kills himself, Stuka decides to show Joy the only way he knows how.
Mm-hmm.
Stuka taunting. Stuka then tosses Soberano into the rail, then hits a rope-assisted crossroads. And then after that gorgeous crossroads, CMLL does its favorite bit, white woman jump scare.
No, yeah, they keep finding white people in the crowd, and it's offensive to both of us.
It is horrible. I am
When I
not trying to look
watch
at white women.
when I watch CMLL, I want to see the drunkest uncles, the finest tios Mexico has to offer, screaming
Yeah.
at the
I need them
rudos.
doing perk angles. Yeah, yes. I need them doing the
Exactly.
Stuka taunt. Come on now,
What
letting
is
me
this?
down. And then that leads to the third fall. Very fast on the first 2 falls.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of emblematic of these. Um, I mean, this isn't a Apuestas, but like generally in an Apuestas match or whatnot. But they like do the first 2 falls. It feels like they're obligatory, and then they can have the third one be like the actual one.
Sure.
It's a
And
match.
then they got the most enthusiastic ring girl so
Mm-hmm.
far. She's holding up the sign with one arm, and then
Maybe
she
about
blows a kiss.
80% enthusiasm.
Actually 100%. I'm gonna give her the exact amount of enthusiasm.
You'd expect.
She is doing like the rings, like the Fashion Week stomp walk, and does a kiss, and then leaves. Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then an exchange on the mat leading to Stuka on the ringside. Gets hit with an enziguri, on the mat or apron. Gets hit with an enziguri, but hops over. And then he hops over the Soberano baseball slide. Then Stuka goes flying with a tope.
His tope is crazy.
He has a crazy tope.
And it's mostly just the reckless abandon with which he does it.
Mm-hmm. He is square enough that he assumes that he cannot die.
And hopefully, for his sake, he is correct.
I agree. He's fairly Tomohiro Ishii shaped, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Let's see here. Stuka gets Soberano to the ring, then hits him with a delicious sit-out power bomb. Then it twists the legs for a count, but not for long as Soberano pops back to life. I like the little addition of the leg twist on the
Yes.
power bomb.
I love little pinning combination type things of trying to like make it look like you were trying to keep their shoulders on the fucking mat.
Right, but oh god, white people jump scare. Instagram
No!
edition. They are taking some sweet flick ups at Arena Mexico, which is probably what I would be doing. But
Mhm.
I'm also trying to enjoy the match. Stop showing me these white people. And then there's a Stuka taunt, but oh god, another white people jump scare. Except it's balding man. It's
Yeah.
just a balding guy. I don't know why I'm looking at him. I'm trying to look at Stuka. He's doing the
Exactly.
taunt. That's half his bit. And then Stuka starts beating the fuck out of Doug, killing Soberano. Stuka tries to run the ropes, but gets the leg swept under him, baseball slide style. And then Soberano gets hit with an enziguri this time, instead of Stuka getting hit with one. And then a moonsault. Oh my god, he is still at it with these moonsaults. You gotta love it.
And he's like 1 for like 4 or something thus far in our watching.
Mm-hmm. And then Stuka tries to take off the mask of Soberano. But Soberano manages to worm his way out, and Soberano spams some enzingiris, and then hits a beautiful ringside apron to center Frankensteiner for a 2 count. That was great, but white woman jump scare.
No!
Soberano powers up though after seeing a white woman, only to get hit with a nasty gut buster. Stuka has a great gut buster.
That's another like old school move I want to see hit more.
Hmm.
Because when it's done correctly, it's just viscerally uncomfortable to look at.
For sure.
Kenny is a good one.
Roddy does like the reverse of it.
Backbreaker.
Backbreaker. Yeah. He kind of does it. Shrug. Anyways.
Yes.
Then there is some move spam for it too. There's some big boots. There's some stuff you get off of bouncing off the ropes. And then a moonsault almost kills Stuka off the ropes. Stuka is kind of wedged in between the ropes and just gets slammed by the moonsault.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty creative spot.
It is very creative, except there's a white woman.
No!
And then Canadian Destroyer on the ringside?
It's pretty badass.
It's so sick. And I think it is Stuka who's hitting it onto Soberano.
Mm-hmm.
I love Canadian Destroyers.
They're very fun.
They're so cool.
I almost don't blame like the indies for spamming them.
It's
Almost.
at least it isn't like an all Japan finisher, right?
Yeah.
You can have your Canadian Destroyers, guys.
The next guy on the indies to kick out of a burning hammer, I will find and beat up.
I'll join you.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that sweet Canadian Destroyer, Stuka throws him into the ring, and then he drops the bomb. He does the Stuka bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And then Soberano manages to kick out. And then Soberano sends Stuka off the top rope. I think he beals him out. And then I think all of Arena Mexico is stomping their feet at this moment.
Yep, pretty much, probably causing an earthquake.
That's how I noted it. I said, "Holy shit, an earthquake!" Then a moonsault off the top rope from Soberano, and then after hitting a delicious moonsault, Soberano hits the thinker pose in the middle of the ring, and then hits a sweet crossbody, and then a gutbuster is hit on the ramp, and then they do a little bit of rope work. They're bouncing off the ropes a little bit. Oh, Stuka's setting up for a tombstone. But then Soberano manages to counter, getting it up, hitting a sweet sit-up pile driver, and for the 3.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Soberano. You are the winner of nothing.
Yeah, this is just kind of a match they threw in, and it was great.
Yeah.
This
Because
is
this whole thing was
before-
like a Grand Prix Torneo Cybernetico match is like the main event. This is just a random co-main.
Yeah, they're just chilling. This has the same energy as Nick Nemeth versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Explain.
It's a good match you throw in before the mains.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So going from that, what takeaways do you have about Stuka Jr. overall?
Stuka's a little bastard.
Yes, he is.
He's a little shit. I like his energy. Especially when he loses the mask. He becomes very goblin-esque and he starts doing the Stuka taunt, which is always good. Me personally, I cannot wait for him to somehow get onto AEW TV. Because I think whenever the Stuka taunt happens, it's going to get over pretty fast.
That's kind of why I was sad that everyone was talking about like, oh, I want to see Danielson versus like Mystico or whatever when
CMLL was over at AEW
yeah,
for
yeah,
him
and
to
I'm like, no,
Forbidden Door.
I want to see this mean little bastard wrestle Danielson.
Right? They would have a good match. That'd be
Yeah.
fun. I'm sure there would be some sort of fucked up spot that would kill poor Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm. It would inexplicably be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever.
So do you recommend? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Stuka has the same healing magic that Super Dragon does.
Okay.
That's how I explain it.
So do you recommend Mr. Stuka Jr.?
Well, the fact that he gave me more of an interest on Lucha. Yeah, I recommend all of these matches. Yeah, it's all winners. All
You
good
heard it here
stuff.
first. The best base for pro wrestling is being a square.
Yes, sir.
You have any closing thoughts before we close out the episode?
Tony Khan, pay attention to the list at the start. I know you've got the ADHD or something. I'm
We
sure
have
you
our
have
demands.
that. They aren't demands. They are important.
They're demands.
They're important demands.
Yep.
Yerp. All right. Good night, everybody. Smiley face.
Peace.